So, Vic, what puzzles do you think are going to come up at Worlds this year? I see... I see... Yes? A number. Okay, what number? I see... 500. Well, we know there'll be 500-piece puzzles there, yes. Anything else? Yes. Oh, good. I see... something... blue. What could that be? Yes, I see it clearly. A blue triangle. Do you mean the Ravensburger logo? Yes. That's it? Alright, I don't see anything. And this is not a crystal ball, it's a nightlight. But I do have some ideas. Ooh, tell me. I will, but first, here's a word from today's sponsor. This video is sponsored by Serious Readers, the lighting company. I am a person who loves to watch movies and I will watch my favourites again and again. But I also like to keep my hands busy, and what better way than to grab a puzzle and puzzle away while I'm watching and listening. I used to have all of the lights on to do this, but I don't know about you, but I much prefer more ambient lighting when I'm watching something. And if my kids happen to be watching it with me, I know they do too. So how could I enjoy a puzzle whilst also enjoying that cozy feeling? Simple. I just grab my Serious HD light. I've had my light about a year now, and one of my favourite things about it is that it illuminates only what you need it to, without having to light up the entire room. The light beam is adjustable, so you can really focus the light on whatever it is that you want to do. And it doesn't spoil the cosy atmosphere for you or anyone else that happens to be in the room. So if I want to indulge my hobby of an evening and relax, watching a movie or a TV series, or even listening to music or an audiobook, I can just cozy up and do it. The daylight wavelength technology in a Serious HD light bulb replicates the daylight spectrum. So the colours in my puzzle always really pop, and I can see clearly all the details in the pieces without having to squint or get my face right up to the puzzle. I can just sit comfortably with zero strain on my eyes. More cozy evening puzzling is definitely on the cards in my household. How about you? If you like the sound of this, then you'll be interested in this offer. You can get £100 off a Serious HD light plus free UK delivery. All you have to do is click on the link in the description below, spec your light however you would like, and enter the discount code Vicky24. And that's it. Hi, welcome to Vicky Makes and Builds. Okay, so I have for you today the world's puzzle prediction video that I have been promising. Now, it's important to state here that I am not going to Worlds this year. I unfortunately can't make it to Spain. However, I really think it's going to be fun doing this video and just predicting, giving some of my theories about what might come out, and then when it all starts very soon, it'll be fun to see if I get any of them right. So another thing to note as well is that I haven't actually watched anybody else's prediction videos on this. There's a few predictions flying around. I know Donna Louise has a video up at the moment, but I deliberately am not watching it until my video has gone out because I don't want to be influenced by, you know, other people's thoughts on it as well. And lastly, I just want to say that this is a prediction video for only the 500-piece puzzles. I'm not going to start trying to predict what 1,000-piece puzzles might come up because I think I would just be here forever doing that. So all I'm going to cover are the 500-piece puzzles, which will be for the individual rounds and for the preliminary pairs rounds. So there are actually 14 puzzles in total for me to try and predict. There will be a 15th puzzle, but that is an unreleased puzzle for the final, for the individuals, so I can't possibly predict that. However, the other 14, I could give it a good go. Now for this video, I do have my iPad in front of me. Usually I don't have it there to reference, but there's just so much information about different puzzles and things that I'm giving today, and just so much to it. I wrote quite a long script for it, and it would just take me forever if I tried to memorize it all. So I will be referring to my iPad sometimes. I hope you don't mind that. But yeah, I think I'm just going to dive right into this and give you some of my thoughts and ideas on it. Okay, so basically last year I took quite a few puzzles with me to Spain when I went there, and quite a few of them ended up coming out in the actual competitions. I think there was maybe 4 that I'd practiced, and a couple of them I actually got myself that I then redid, which was very lucky. I also fairly recently did a UK Jigsaw Puzzle Association online competition, not the most recent one, but the one before. And oddly enough, I practiced just a couple of days prior to that, the puzzle that came out in that as well. So there's some real fluke going on with me, because it's just complete chance. All I really did was just buy a bunch of puzzles from Amazon, and I never really paid attention much to the year on the box, or, well, I did pay attention to the images. I tried to get ones that were all a wee bit different, but I also just picked ones that I like too. So there was a lot of fluke there. However, this video comes about from, you know, some actual analysis and theorising. So there's no real randomness to this, although we could do a bit of a random game at the end. We'll see what happens. So, having attended the event last year, I actually have a lot of the puzzles in my collection still. And if I don't have the puzzles, I do actually have the boxes for a few of them as well, because I took puzzles with me and I ended up leaving them behind and passing them on to somebody else. It has been handy having the boxes, because one of the things I've been able to do is check the year on the box to see what the release year of the puzzle was. And I found that for every puzzle, 500-piece puzzle used at last year's Worlds, only 2 of them had a year on it from the year before. All the other puzzles were from 2023, and so the only 2 that weren't were this one here, the Summer Thunderstorm, which is the panorama that came up in Group F of the preliminary individuals. This one has a 2022 year on it, and the other one that did was the Ocean puzzle. But all the other puzzles, which of the ones I have are here, all were from 2023. So that is really the first clue to be gained from this. It is highly likely that most, if not all, of the puzzles coming up at the Worlds this year will be from the 2024 catalogue from the various different countries. Now, that's a pretty obvious theory, but one thing that I wanted to note about this was that the 2 puzzles that were from the year before, they are actually notable for their differences. Now, this was the first panorama puzzle that we saw ever at Worlds. So even though it was a nature edition, there was another nature edition at Worlds as well. It was a little bit different because it had the panorama shape to it. Also, the Ocean puzzle was a little bit different because it was a circle puzzle, and it was the first time we'd seen a circle puzzle at Worlds as well. So my thinking behind that is that basically they wanted something a little bit different. They wanted to throw something in there that might surprise us when we pulled it out of the bag, but they had to pick maybe the most recent circle of colours that they could, which just happened to be Pokeball and Ocean, and Ocean was from the previous year, and they just happened to pick a more recent Nature Edition puzzle that was also a panorama as well. I don't know if that theory holds water, but that, I think, is why they did that. I think they like to do something a little bit different, and I think they like to surprise people with that as well. And that brings me nicely onto my next category of this video, which is... So as I said, last year was the first time that we saw circle puzzles at Worlds, and it was also the first time we saw a panorama. I believe they're going to want to continue to surprise us this year, and one possible way that they might do that would be to use circle puzzles that aren't necessarily circle of colours puzzles. Now, I also think that it is possible circle of colours might come up again If they do, I believe it will be one of these 4 that are sitting here, and also a 5th one which I don't have. So the ones I've got here are the Astrology puzzle, the Seashells puzzle, the Flowers puzzle, and the Dreams puzzle. These are all very recent Circle of Colours releases. The other one I don't have is the Insects puzzle. I would like to get hold of that at some point, but if it's going to be any of those, I think it will probably be one of those 5. But I personally think they might not go with Circle of Colours this year. I think they might go with a circle, but something a little bit different. As I said, I think they like to surprise us. So Ravensburger have been releasing a lot of new circle puzzles recently. I actually have one of them here, a very recent release. It's a Pokemon puzzle. It's a round puzzle. I also have this one, a round puzzle with Stitch on it. Now this is actually a 2023 puzzle, but I actually think these 2 puzzles would make a really good match for something like the semi-final. Now I know that last year the Circle of Colours Ocean puzzle and the Pokeball puzzle were considered to be similar in difficulty. They were considered to be pretty equal in difficulty, and that's, I think, one of the reasons why they were chosen for the 2 semi-finals rounds. These, I think, would be a good match in that respect as well. Now, you might think, well, we're not going to have popular culture puzzles coming up at something like Worlds, but why not? I mean, that has actually started to happen more and more recently. At the Australian Nationals in 2023, we saw a Disney puzzle come up. Now let me just check. Yes, at the Norwegian Nationals, a popular anime series was the image on the puzzle in the individuals round, and yet another popular anime series was represented at the Denmark Championships this year. So we are seeing popular TV series, cartoons, things like that. We are seeing those kinds of puzzles come up at competitions. And so it really would not surprise me if this was something that they threw in there, would be a wee surprise for people. Now, I only have these 2, but there are newer ones coming out still. I believe there's a brand new circle puzzle, Stranger Things, 500-piece circle puzzle. That could be a strong candidate for coming up as well. There's also another set of circle puzzles. There are 3 of them, and they're called the Little Sun series. The titles, I believe, are Feel, Engage, and Change, I think. Now, they are really pretty puzzles, and ones which I think could also be strong contenders for coming up at Worlds. So, I could be wrong. They might do another Circle of Colours puzzle. If it is, I think it'll be one of the 5 I've mentioned, but I don't personally believe that there will be Circle of Colours puzzles this year. I think if there are circle puzzles, it will either be a popular culture type of puzzle like these 2, or it will be one of the Little Sun puzzles. Now, the anime puzzles that were in the other championships and the Disney puzzle were actually all rectangular. There are some rectangular puzzles that are from popular culture that might actually come out as well. One is this Bridgerton puzzle. It's a newer puzzle, I think, in the UK catalogue, and it's a very popular TV series over here. I think this puzzle might possibly come out. It could be a good candidate for a pairs puzzle because it looks quite difficult. Another option would be something more like Pokemon, moving over to a computer game theme. We have a new puzzle out. It's a Sonic the Hedgehog puzzle. And actually this one, it doesn't look too bad at first glance, but I've heard that this one's really quite difficult because of all the pixels. Might be another contender for a pairs puzzle. So I really don't think we should rule out new puzzles that are branded popular brands like Disney or Pokemon or Sonic or Bridgerton or any one of those puzzles. I think that we may well see some of those. I actually have the Sonic puzzle on its way to me. I have bought it, but it's going to take a while to get here, and I don't think I will get it until actually after Worlds is finished. I would have loved to have built it for you in this video, but I don't have it yet, unfortunately. I did buy a new puzzle for this video though, and I will show you that in due course. It's so, in the same idea as, you know, doing something a little bit different and surprising us, another thing which they could do this year that they haven't done in previous Worlds is to have a vertical puzzle, a vertically aligned image. Now, last year they didn't have any vertical puzzles. They had a couple of round ones. They had a panorama, they had rectangular ones, but they were all landscape in orientation. Now, there have been vertical puzzles coming up in other competitions throughout the year, and actually one puzzle kept coming up over and over again. It was repeated 3 times, I think. Now, the puzzle I'm talking about is this one here. I just happen to have it. It's called Maritime Flair. So this one came up in the Columbia Championship, the New Zealand Championship, and also the, now then, which one was it? Portugal. It came up in Portugal. So yeah, I'm not really sure why this one was so popular and repeatedly came up, but it's from 2021, so I don't necessarily think it will come up at Worlds, but something like this one might come up. This one's called Vintage Still Life. It's a very similar idea, collage, still life, arranged in a sort of visually pleasing kind of a way. That's a 2024 puzzle, so that could well come up at Worlds, I think. Or possibly, dare I say it, we might see one come up from a previous year. Because they want to do something a bit different, they might pick one out of an older catalogue, and maybe we'll see the Polygon Lion. I really hope not, for the sake of the competitors. But who knows, we might well see something like that. They might even pull something completely unexpected out of the bag, something like a Starline collection puzzle, one that glows in the dark. Who knows? Who actually knows? I don't. But there is a vertical Starline puzzle, but as I say, it's an older puzzle. It's called Lunar Wolf. But that would be cool, wouldn't it, if we had a glow-in-the-dark puzzle come out? They'll have to turn all the lights off in the dome when they've finished. So, again, I don't believe Maritime Flair will come up, but I do think that there's a high likelihood that a vertical puzzle might come up, and it could very well be the Vintage Still Life puzzle. Vertical puzzles would probably be good for a pairs puzzle, because as a pair, really, usually you'd be on either side of the table, and at least with a vertical puzzle, no one person would be the right way up. So, might actually be a good choice for a pairs puzzle. I don't know, but I do think it's an option for something that little bit different to pull out of the bag that might surprise us all. So that's the something a little bit different category. The next category I'm moving on to is to talk about. Now, I've just said Maritime Flair came up in 3 championships this year. Other puzzles that have come up repeatedly are this one here. It's called Hello Vinyl. This one came up in Canada and also in Sweden, so we've seen that one twice. I personally think Hello Vinyl might well be there too. Another puzzle that has come up more than once is the Postcard from Paris, and a very recent release that has come up in previous championships has been the Rabbit Recital puzzle, which is one of the ones I do have here. I was lucky enough to be sent this by Ravensburger UK actually as a gift, and it's a new release to the UK catalogue, so I think this could be a very strong contender as well. Unfortunately, I don't have Hello Vinyl and I don't have Postcard from Paris. Like with the Sonic puzzle, I am able to get them from Amazon, but they would not arrive here until after the Worlds was all over. So I will get them, I will buy them, but I couldn't unfortunately get them in time for this video. However, let's talk a little bit about the Postcard from Paris puzzle, because we have had puzzles from this collection come up at 2 previous Worlds consecutively. So in 2022 we had the London Postcard, in 2023 we had the New York Postcard. Now, you might think, well, are they likely to do Postcard from Paris this year? Is that a bit too obvious? Maybe it is. However, as I said, it has come up at previous championships, and I honestly think it will come up. I think we will see Postcard from Paris. I think that they are popular puzzles, and I also believe that the whole obvious factor may also be kind of a double bluff. So it's like, yeah, it's obvious, but maybe it's so obvious that it's not obvious. If you see See what I mean? I don't know if that makes any sense. Also, one thing to note is that the artwork of Paris Postcard is by a chap called Lars Stewart, who has artwork on another fairly recent release, certainly with the Ravensburger UK catalogue. It's a 1,000 piece puzzle, and his artwork is on that. It's called The Four Seasons Flower Shop. Now, this was another gifted puzzle to me from Ravensburger UK, but I think if there are artists coming out with new puzzles, and there are artists that are on some of these images for the 500 piece puzzles, it would not surprise me if they put them in the competition because they want to really showcase the artist. And another artist where I think that might possibly be the case is Demelza Horton, who did the Rabbit Recycle puzzle and who has also got a recent 1,000 piece puzzle release with Ravensburger UK, that being this one here, which is Snow White and the Seven Gnomes. So I wouldn't be surprised if we saw the Rabbit Recycle puzzle also, as well as the Paris Postcard puzzle, for those reasons. And Hello Vinyl, I think, is a good puzzle to put in because of the type of puzzle it is. It's a little bit different. It's not the same kind of image as a lot of the other ones. There's a still life element to it. It's kind of like a collage, I guess. But yeah, I think the Hello Vinyl puzzle might well come up. So looking at the past year's championships, we can also see that if we look at the 6 rounds in the individual preliminaries, there was quite a good variety of different types of image. So you had 2 Nature Edition puzzles, one of which was a panorama. You had a busy city scene, which was the evening in Pisa. You had a more tranquil city scene, which was the Springtime in Paris puzzle, which is the one that I did. Then we had a busy kind of still life type of image by Amy Stewart. That was also, it had kind of a gradient element to it. Then we had the New York Postcard, which was different again. It was a bit more arty. You had these splashes of colour. So you had a good variety of different types of images. And I think that they're going to want to do that again this year. So there are 6 rounds again in the individual preliminaries. As far as I know, I don't think there are any new Nature Edition puzzles this year. Could be wrong, but I don't think there are. But one strong contender for alternatives to the Nature Edition puzzles are the Scandinavian Places puzzles. Now, there are 2 in that collection in particular that I think might come up. One is called Northern Lights and the other is called Farm in Sweden. These are very kind of nature style images, flowers, mountains, dark sky. That Northern Lights one has kind of summer thunderstorm elements to me. I think that they might well come up. And another Scandinavian Places puzzle, I think it's called Sunset in Copenhagen. That's slightly more of a quiet city scene, a little like Springtime in Paris. So you may get something like that coming in there to cover kind of that category of image, if you like. You may also get something like A Day Out in York, which is a recent UK release. And it's another sort of city scene, perhaps slightly more busy, bit more like the evening in Pisa. It would not surprise me if either of those 2 puzzles came out either. Another quite nature country style scene is this one here, which I actually have because it was my most recent online competition puzzle for the UK Jigsaw Puzzle Association. Another recent release, it's called Loving Longhorns. And I thought it was a good puzzle for speed puzzling because it was challenging enough, but it had lots of elements to it that you could sort or that you could pick out if you were going to flip all the pieces. You got the sky, you've got the cows, you've got this tree, you know, and all the flowers at the bottom. So this could well be a candidate for maybe the individual rounds. I don't necessarily think it's hard enough to be a pairs puzzle, but it wouldn't surprise me if this one came up as well. Another couple of puzzles that might come up are this one here and another one called Requested Stop. Now, again, they are sort of just scenery kind of puzzles. This one's a beach. You can see all the little beach huts going along there. There's colour to the beach huts, so there's, you know, there's splashes of colour there. You've got what looks like a relatively difficult sky. There's some different shades in it and hues and things, but I mean, this reminds me of the sky in the Paris puzzle that I did last year. So again, I think this might well be one of the puzzles that comes up. Requested stop, similar idea, except it's on a railway station. There's a person waving people off on a train. Again, it's quite sort of countrified and things. So I think that might well be a good candidate as well. A good couple of puzzles that would cover the kind of collage, busy sort of image, similar to the Amy Stewart puzzle last year, would be one called, now then what's it called? Cubby, Cats and Succulents, and another one called Brunch Crunch, which is like a collage. So again, both recent puzzles and both possibilities for perhaps the individual preliminary rounds. Okay, so my last category to talk about was coming at it from a sales perspective. So at the end of it all, Ravensburger is in the business of selling puzzles, and they're going to want to pick puzzles, I think, that they know will be popular and will sell. And I think it would be pretty clever, really, of Ravensburger to pick puzzles out of collections. So last year we had the Nature Edition puzzles. If they pick puzzles from the Scandinavian collection, I think that would be quite savvy, because when you get one puzzle from a collection, oftentimes you want to get all of the puzzles from the collection. So there is this kind of urge to go and buy the rest of them, which I think, you know, will be in their minds when it comes to things like that. Another thing that works well with is the Circle of Colours puzzles. I mean, they may well pick Circle of Colours again because they know they're popular, they know they're collectibles, really. And I honestly, when I went to Worlds last year, I wanted to collect all the Circles of Colours puzzles, and I have been buying them. So, you know, so I can totally and completely see how they might want to throw some collections in there that people might want to then complete at a later date. So again, that kind of backs up the use of the Scandinavian Places puzzles and the Circle of Colours, or even, you know, some of the Circle popular culture puzzles like your Stitch and your Pokemon puzzle. I mentioned earlier as well that they might want to push certain artists. Last year they had an Amy Stewart. They do have Amy Stewart on new puzzles that are being released. They have Demelza Horton on new released puzzles, and she has a 500-piece puzzle out. They also have the Lars Stewart puzzles. I really do think that it's possible that they might want to have certain artists represented at Worlds in order to then get people interested in other puzzles by the same artist. I also believe that that might be part of the reason why they might put something in like the Stitch puzzle, for example, because there seems to be a big push on this character Stitch, this Disney character. Again, Ravensburger UK have just released in their catalogue, and this is another puzzle that they gifted to me, the Stitch Challenge puzzle. I think there's another 1,000-piece Stitch puzzle coming out as well, not a challenge puzzle, but a Stitch themed puzzle. And if they really would like to sell those puzzles, then what better way to advertise them than to put maybe a 500-piece Stitch puzzle in the Worlds? Who knows? Or a circle puzzle that might then help sell the new ones coming out. I don't know. But Ravensburger are a puzzle company and they sell puzzles at the end of the day. So why not? You know, they need to be savvy with these things. Why not do that and put certain things in place to really inspire people to buy the other versions of them, or the other collections, or the other brands, or whatever. So I'm going to try and kind of list them so it just kind of brings together the summary that I've given you verbally, which was all very sort of maybe. But I do think that there are a bunch that will come up. And I really can't wait to see if I'm right or not. I could be totally wrong. So to summarise, they are likely to be puzzles from the 2024 catalogues from various different places, the German catalogue, the UK catalogue, the US catalogue. It's an international event, so it makes sense to have it from across the world. They are likely to do something a little bit different this year in the same vein as the circle puzzles and the panorama last year. I believe that might come in the form of different circle puzzles like these, or like the little sun ones, or possibly in the form of more vertical aligned images like the maritime flare that's come up a lot in previous championships, or something like the vintage still life, which is a more recent vertical puzzle. They might go for something a bit harder for a pairs puzzle, something like the polygon lion. A really out there idea might be to use a starline puzzle, which is glow in the dark. Again, I'm not really sure how different you can get with puzzles, you know, 500-piece puzzles. Maybe they will. I don't think there are any recent starline puzzles though, so that maybe might not be the case, but we'll see. You never know. You never know. So I think that they will surprise us with puzzles as well. I also think that they are likely to want to have certain artists represented, and I personally think that Demelza Horton might well be one of those, and Lars Stewart, possibly Amy Stewart as well. And I also think that they're going to want to use puzzles from a collection like the Scandinavian Places. They would be something akin to what the Nature Edition puzzles were last year, but they would be, you would maybe have 2 puzzles from the collection, and then that would encourage people to then go and buy the other puzzles to complete the collection. I think they might also use branded puzzles as something a little bit different. Popular brands like Pokemon, Stitch, Stranger Things, Bridgerton, Sonic the Hedgehog, anything like that. There's even a Friends puzzle that they might use. It would not surprise me at all in the slightest if people were pulling those kinds of puzzles out of the bag as well. I think that's also a good sales technique. Who knows? Who knows? I really can't wait to find out and see if I'm right about any of these. So that is my summary. Those are my theories. That is my thought on the whole thing. So what I'm going to do now is I've peppered this whole video with footage of me building some of these puzzles, because I mean, like, I've already built Rabbit Recital, I've already built Longhorn, Loving Longhorns. I haven't yet built Beach Time. So I will leave you with that and a wee fun ending as well. Thank you for watching so much. I really hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope I'm right. You'll need to let me know what you think. Let me know if you agree. Tell me in the comments what your thoughts are. What do you think is going to come up? Do you think I'm right? Do you think I'm wrong? Who knows? Who knows? But please do let me know in the comments. Please subscribe if you haven't yet subscribed to the channel. Leave a like if you've enjoyed the video. If you would like to become a member of Vicky Makes and Builds, I have channel memberships where there's lots of extra content. And if you fancy joining that, you can just click on the link in the description. I'm going to list these puzzles in my description, and I'll put Amazon associate links if you're interested in getting hold of any of these. If you use one of those links, then I get a small commission from the sale and you don't pay any more for the puzzle than the recommended retail price. It just all goes back into helping the channel out and making it better. So I'll leave it there. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next time. Bye. All right, Grace, which puzzle do you think is going to come up? Whichever one you decide to lay down in, that'll be the puzzle, or one of the puzzles that's going to come up. I trust in you. Well, liking the look of that one. Any of the others? Does that one look good to you? Or are we just playing stepping stones? Which one would you lay down in? Don't know. What do you think? Oh, we've chosen to lay down in one of the rectangle boxes. I think you're a bit big for that box, my darling. Oh, bless you. I feel bad now. I'll have to disturb you. Okay, so Grace laid down in the Maritime Flair box, so that tells me vertical puzzle. You thinking vertical puzzle, Grace? Yeah, I think you're thinking that, aren't you? You liked this one. Okay, thank you. Thank you for that. We'll find out if you're right. Oh, you wee cutie.